I took a mental break.
Can you describe the mental break? I'd love to know. Give me a vivid description of what this mental break looked like.
I had a bit of a long drive, and on that long drive, I took advantage of the opportunity to stop by the gas station and grab a couple candy bars.
I assume they were two. I think that's the number that you used, were two candy bars. I don't know if that was an approximation, an exact figure, an estimate. Was it two?
They weren't small candy bars, though. Two large candy bars.
A big ones. So two big, large candy bars. 4 weeks ago, you weighed in at a whopping 354.6 pounds.
Huh.
Wow. That was 1 month ago. On week 1, you lost 6.5 pounds. Fantastic progress. Week 2, 2.4 pounds. Excellent progress. I was thrilled. Week 3, 2.8 pounds, even more than week 2. So on a path to burn over 100 pounds in a year. Week 4, we're going to leave everybody in suspense because I'm going to ask you exactly what you did this past week before I reveal the number. We talked about stocking the refrigerator at work with protein so that you have food to snack on when you want to fill yourself up, because protein is going to work towards achieving your goal of burning as much fat as possible. And we also talked about doing 2 days of cardio, 2 days of walking, as opposed to what you did the week prior, which was 1 day. And that's essentially the way we left it. We also said that the day before your weigh-in, you were going to try to be super strict. Those were the points we covered last week. Outside of that, you were going to do what you've been doing, which is a much better diet than you had been following, trying to keep carbs as low as possible, loading up on protein and fat, and being loose with that, meaning that you came from a diet that was low on protein, heavy on fat and carbs. So we were just trying to switch things around so they'd work in your favor. And so far, so good. Looking at the numbers past those first 3 weeks, amazing results, in my opinion, and I think in your opinion as well. So tell me what happened this past week before we get into the number.
So it wasn't a perfect week. I only got 1 day of an extended walk in. I did not get the 2 days that I had hoped for. And on the diet end, I was admittedly a little looser with the carbohydrate intake on the beginning of the week.
Okay.
It wasn't, by no means was it anything like what, my normal lifestyle was in previous life before this month. So even when I'm making concessions, I'm still making moderate concessions. But it, I was definitely not. I'm making conscious decisions to be moderate when I do indulge, but like I took a mental break a little bit at the beginning of like the last weekend, shortly after the last weigh-in, and so.
Can you describe the mental break? I'd love to know. Give me a vivid description of what this mental break looked like.
Yeah,
to the best of your recollection.
Yeah. Let's see. So I had a bit of a long drive, and on that long drive, I took advantage of the opportunity to stop by the gas station and grab a couple candy bars. And so at the same time, I did something that also, would never have happened in a previous life, and that was I grabbed some protein sources. It was like in the refrigerated section there was the meat and cheese, packet. So I tried to moderate by also filling up on protein. So, I guess I got a little playful with my,
Now, just to interject on the filling up on protein with the two, I assume they were two. I think that's the number that you used were 2 candy bars. I don't know if that was an approximation,
no,
an exact figure, an estimate, or was it 2?
they weren't small
Or
candy bars,
around
though.
2?
2 large candy
They
bars.
were
Yeah.
not small.
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha. Okay,
Yeah.
big ones. So 2 big, large candy bars. So normally, if you stopped at the gas station, if you were not following the diet, please tell me you would have consumed 3 large candy bars and no protein. Because if you added the protein to just 2 large candy bars, which is what you normally consume, you would actually be eating more than what you would on a normal occasion when you weren't following the diet. I just want to make sure that maybe we're doing some substitutions. Like instead of 3, we have 2 and the protein. So that way we're shifting calories more towards protein and away from the carbs.
Okay. Yeah. So I should probably, so this was on my way to my boys' football game, which is far away. And so, let's see, I was coming from the other side of town and I was traveling alone. And so, let's see, I'm trying to figure out how all this happened, but I needed a meal and I wasn't going to be able to have one for quite some time afterward. So I knew I needed to have some protein at some point. So I did get it by stopping there. And then, but I was also, craving something else. And so I fulfilled both of those desires or needs by doing that. And so, yeah, if I was to go to it like in a regular situation, if I was to just stop by the convenience store, it wouldn't probably be this place I would go for a meal, but like if I wanted to, in my previous life, get a snack from the convenience store, I could easily do more damage than 2 candy bars.
Well, I'm going to say something totally outrageous here, and you might find me completely out of my mind, but you likely will. But when I'm in a situation like that, and it's probably because of the way that I eat versus the way that you have eaten for many years, but I actually will walk into a convenience store and I will find a cookies and cream protein bar, which has significantly less calories than what I presume the kind of bar that you picked out would be in comparison, and it has lots of protein, like 28 grams, maybe 30 grams. And I consume that with joy. I don't know why. I mean, I'm just classifying me as totally out of my mind, and it's probably because I don't, on a regular basis, by any stretch of the imagination, consume the kind of bar that you ended up walking out of the store with. So when you compare the two, yes, we're coming from totally different perspectives. But would you be willing in a situation like that to delve into maybe I go with one of those bars, those giant whatever kind of bars that you had that you walked out of the store with and enjoyed, I'm sure, on that drive of yours, and then a protein bar, like a strict, those protein bars that do have flavor. I mean, they come in a variety of flavors, which to me, for some odd reason, I really get excited about. But it's all relative to what it is that I'm normally consuming. Those to me are like candy bars, depending on the flavor that I choose. And I've had a couple or 3 of them that I really do enjoy. I kind of crave. I'm kind of craving it right now, to be honest. So I'm wondering if you could give that a shot, where because those protein bars are high protein. I mean, 30 grams for one bar. If you had two of those bars, which I know now I'm really crossing the line to say replace 2 for 2. We started with one of those protein bars and one of the other canned snack bars that you ended up walking out with. That would be a great concession on your part, and we would be compromising towards something that would still help you to reduce the amount of carbs and fat in the diet, and replacing that with protein, because those bars are, you consume 2 of those at 60 grams of protein. That would be enough for a meal. That's usually what I do, is I have 2 of those or 60 grams of protein, have some carbs, some fat, but relatively speaking, everything is good with that for a meal. Not going to be any negative consequences of that because the protein's so high. But if you were to replace one of those bars with one of those protein bars, if you were in a situation like this in the future, is that something that you would entertain at the very least?
You know, I'm here for help. So at the same time, I need to be sold on things. You know this about me. And I'm not an easy sell either. So I've had experience with trying things. I remember 100 years ago when I found one single type of, I believe it was the metrics bars back in the day, that there was one flavor that I could tolerate at that point in my life, and somehow that has gone by the wayside. I don't know if that brand even exists anymore, but I know that they stopped making that particular one at some point. So I'm a little skeptical and quite honestly fearful when I think about, I'm sure there maybe have been advances in the last long time since I've actually taken weight loss very seriously. So I'm hopeful, but at the same time, I'm cautious in what we're talking about when you mention cookies and cream protein sources. So I would be open to having like a small taste test session with you to sample a few different flavors of options that you think would actually possibly work for me. I don't even necessarily need a ton of variety. If we find something that works, I could probably just be good if it's just like one thing that actually doesn't make me really sick to myself,
Yes, I don't want that to happen. I know that could derail you quickly. You could walk back into the convenience store and walk out with 3 of the bars that don't have any protein in them. So I don't need to have this work against us in any way whatsoever. So I've had good luck with the chocolate chip cookie dough, I must say, protein bar. I think that is my favorite. I don't remember what the brand was. I just go in and buy. I don't even pay attention. I just know that it's what it looks like, and I grab it, and sold at Sheets, so I'm able to get it quickly, and it's always there. So I will check out to see what the brand is. I would be very interested in you trying it. If we could find one, or God help us, 2 that you could
I'll take more consume, if it works.
That would be, I would love it. I would absolutely love that to be an option, because then you're significantly reducing the amount of empty calories and replacing that with protein, high protein. So that would be fantastic if possible. The other option is, of course, to cut down on the candy, the bar to 1 versus 2, and load up on something like beef jerky or some meat, some high protein snack that you like, that you really do enjoy. That you can, even cheese. Even though cheese does have carbs, I'm looking to try and shift away from the really dense carb and fat combination that the bars that you chose more than likely have. I'm not going out on a limb with this, am I?
No, that's a safe call there.
Okay. So that was that meal. What did you do? What else did you do? Anything else egregious?
That was the most egregious thing I can think of as one single event. Like yesterday pre-weigh-in, I tried to be pretty strict.
Mhm.
I intentionally had salad for dinner, and it was a grilled
Good.
chicken on top of the salad, and but it had like croutons and
Mhm.
dressing, and so I did eat the crouton. I don't know how much damage that did me. I was hoping that wouldn't destroy my dream.
I don't think at at your weight, no, I don't think it did. Not at all, not in the
Thank you.
least.
Not
Not
sure
with
how to
what your
take that.
body's been used to over the past decade.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, how about on the dressing? What kind of dressing are you opting for? Just curious.
Well, it depends. So I had another salad earlier in the week that was with like a light Greek dressing. Um,
Hmm.
and then this one was ranch dressing.
Okay. Do you think that you could? Do you put the entire whatever? I don't know what you're serving that you're using of that ranch dressing. Is it that you put on as much as you want, or you're getting it with the meal and you're putting it on the salad, or how does that work?
I don't necessarily feel the need to use all of the dressing that comes
Oh,
with
good,
it.
good. Okay, you beat me
Yeah.
to it then.
Yeah. I
Okay, good.
just need to make
That's fine.
sure that, that everything's got a little, moisture to it.
Yes. Okay, so given what you told me, with 1 day of exercise, a not so great beginning to the week, and probably pretty average rest of the week, would you say? Average
Somewhat.
meaning what you've been doing the past
I mean,
month.
yeah, I mean, like, yeah, exactly. Average for the month. Definitely way better than what my average
Yeah,
life has been,
right,
but
right.
for the month, yeah, I would say it's, you know, like it's manageable. I mean, it's
Hmm.
something that it didn't feel like it was something that I can't sustain. It seemed like it was
Hmm.
something that, like, if this was a regular week, I wouldn't be, I wouldn't be hard pressed to keep that going.
Or keep that going. Yeah. So, especially with the road trip, like we take that out, then you might have some.
Thank you for that. Yeah.
So the grocery store stop associated with the road trip to get the candy bar probably did help kick off the week for you, and maybe did put some energy in you to get through the rest of it. So, what you did accomplish this week in terms of results, with everything you've described, is a 1.8 pound weight loss, nearly 2 pounds. So, I mean, I can't beat you up over that. I can't. You make me attack you, make me strangle you from afar because I can't look at you. You've been doing whatever you've been doing. I know what we've been doing. We were talking about what you're doing. It's exactly what you're doing. You're making better choices, trying to keep carbs as low as possible, um, much lower than they've been in forever. And this is what you've done the past 4 weeks. You've had some meals that are consistent, a very few that would be consistent with what you've done before. But even in those meals, you're making concessions to try and make them better, trying to add protein, um, trying to make sure that the meals are balanced the way that we discussed. And you've lost in a month 13 and a half pounds. And I honestly, just looking at your face, I can see you look a little bit leaner, like it looks better than it did a month ago to me. A pretty good eye for this. Been doing it for longer than I care to admit. So just looking at you, I already see a change. 13 and a half pounds in a month is incredible. I mean, there's no two ways about it. That's for for any kind of diet, that's excellent results. But for the kind of diet you've been following, which is as realistic as it gets, right? And we've had three, if I'm not mistaken. No, we've had two workouts, correct? We've had one the week, yes, we've had one we were supposed to have two this past week, but you had one. And the week prior, you did one. So you've had 2 walking sessions in a month. And we had 13 and a half pounds down this past week, 1.8 with one workout, and with what happened at the beginning of the week at the gas station. So
You make it sound
how do
so
you feel
bad.
about this? Because I will beat you over the head with that until this call ends. And then until next week we report and start all over again. We have a new number to focus on. You'll be hearing about it until you hang up. But so how do you feel about this? How do you feel about a month in, 13 and a half pounds down, 1.8 pounds down this past week? How's your head? How's your how do does your emotionally, how are you processing this entire journey up to this point? Because a month is a good period of time now that you've been following a totally new path. Because it's drastically different than what you were doing prior that got you to 354.6 pounds starting weight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's pluses and minuses. I would say by far the overriding is positive. I can't argue that. Like there's some back and forth with, just, I guess, when I look at individual weeks, like you mentioned, the first week was like a wow number. I mean, like half of the weight loss came in the first week. So I guess when I look at it that way, I could be like a little bit disappointed about the last 3 weeks. But then when I still look at the last 3 weeks, I'm still realistically losing, basically 2 pounds or even a little bit more average per week. And that pace is pretty solid if I can actually maintain that. That's, like you say, that's 100 pounds in a year. And and I've had 4 consecutive weeks of weight loss, and I don't feel like I'm suffering. Like when I've had the moments where I've indulged, it hasn't cost me in any given week. It hasn't cost me a weight loss. I've had weight loss every week, so everything, like mentally, is where it needs to be. Because if it wasn't, that would be reflected here. I would be going in the wrong direction, and so I'm proud for that. I'm very excited for that because, like, I haven't had 4 weeks of consecutive weight loss. I don't think that's been in years. So like, even though I'm not excited with all the way where my numbers are, I'm like looking at that momentum is stronger than it's been in so many years. So, and then, I'm working my way towards, we talk about decades. So like, I really feel like, last week you kind of put in my mind the 330 figure, getting into the 330s, and I'm disappointed that I didn't get there this week, but I accept that I didn't earn that. I understand that. And so that's slightly disappointing, but I feel like that's totally strikeable this week. And and then I look at, I haven't been at that level in over a year. And then I haven't been below that level in multiple years. I can't even remember when I was below the 330. So like, I'm halfway to being at a level that I haven't been at in multiple years. So the overall feeling is excitement. I'm excited that I feel optimistic that we're getting me there. And it's just like, I'm trying to keep it from becoming overly consumed with the timing of everything, and just know that every step I go in the right direction is important. So even if I have a 3-pound week followed by a 1-pound week, as long as there are weeks going in the right direction, I need to know that that's success. And I can't beat myself up if it's a 1-pound week. I gotta keep on knowing that that's still good. I can't let mistakes turn into real setbacks. I got to keep the momentum. I feel like that's the biggest thing. I just got to keep the momentum.
It is. You're exactly right. And I can't emphasize enough that you've ended up achieving of the 13.5 pound weight loss this past month with 2 walking sessions, 2 days that you've done exercise in the past 28, and the diet has been loose a lot of the time, much better than before, but there hasn't been anything strict about it for the most part. And you're still down 13.5 pounds for this month with such little exercise. I think that's tremendous. And it is something to get excited about because it shows that with what you've done up to this point, which you said is very realistic, that you're achieving weekly progress and you are on track to lose over 100 pounds in a year. If you wanted to ramp that up, there are ways that that can be done, and you know what those are. You know, you could add the walking sessions. You know that you can become more strict with the carbs and try and bring them down further. So there are ways to accelerate the number, but we don't want to do that in lieu of you looking at this as a realistic long-term plan. And maybe you will decide for a period of time to really focus on, I'm going to be strict for this 1 week, or I'm going to be strict for these 2 weeks, or I'm just take it a week at a time. Say for this week, I'm going to really dial everything in. I'm going to try to do 3 workouts, and I'm going to keep carbs below 50 grams a day and see how that goes. You could end up doing that. I wouldn't be offended if you did that next week. That wouldn't be the worst idea in the entire world. But I don't want you to ever embrace anything that you feel is going to be detrimental to the momentum that you've already built. You don't want to go too far, because if you go too far, it's going to end up discouraging you and could cause you to have a desire to go back to where you were before in terms of behavior. And we don't want that to happen. We want this to be not a sprint, but a marathon. We're going to get to the finish line. The finish line is there. And anytime you want to accelerate, you know that there are ways that we can do that, because we've already talked about the exercise and the carbs. You can deal with that. You can up the exercise, reduce the carbs, and you will see that number go down faster. But at this rate of weight loss, if this right now, the numbers that we're seeing, approximately 2 pounds a week, if those numbers, they're satisfactory at this stage, then you don't want to overextend yourself. You just want to make maybe the small concessions towards getting a little bit tighter with getting in less carbs on certain days, maybe, and not necessarily making up for it on other days, but trying to make a day or two out of the week low carb, and then the other ones looser to resemble what you've been doing. So if you take a Thursday and a Tuesday as an example, just picking days out randomly and say that those 2 days I'll keep the carbs low, I'll keep them at under 50 grams a day, and on the other days I'm going to be looser like I've been on the diet, and then see how that goes. See how if it feels, because you're not having 2 consecutive days of low carbs. You're just saying this day and that day, and the rest of the time is going to be a lot more flexible. And same with cardio. If I can get 2 days in, I can pick 2 days, and then I know that the other 5 days I don't have to worry about that. So it's not overextending yourself, not pushing yourself beyond what it is that you're able to integrate into your life. So for next week, do you feel as if you'll be able to get a day or two of strict low carbs, as well as 2 workouts, 2 walking sessions in? Do you think that would be realistic?
Yeah, the way I'm feeling at the moment, I feel like I'm more motivated to I feel like the end of the week is a motivational time for me, because I feel the weigh-in coming.
Yep.
So like I feel like the right after the weigh-in feels more like a relaxed celebration time. Hey, okay, you did a good job. You lost a little weight, so relax.
Yes.
And this is where, if there's any time to breathe, this is the time to breathe. And then if there's a time to really ratchet down, then it's during the end of the week, as we approach the middle of the end of the week. So I feel like some of the good things that came out of this week too. Just kind of problem solving with the diet a little bit, like the salad thing. I think that's a really good strategy for me for lunches. So I can do salads for relatively cheap. There's a lot of ways I can just throw meat into the salad, and that can be a satisfying lunch, as well as sometimes for dinner. And that's something I can do at where I work pretty easily. And so it's not it's some things are just kind of, I'm still in the process of kind of just feeling things out and figuring out what will work for me in the long term. I feel like I tried the breakfast meats in the mornings, and I cooked a lot on the weekend, and then just kind of brought stuff in every day in the morning. But the effort versus the reward on that was probably not something that's going to be a long-term solution for me. So I think I'm starting to just figure things out. And as I figure things out, I can fine tune and maybe become more efficient and better with some of this stuff. But as I look to this week and figure those things out, I feel like I can do better during the weekdays with maintaining pretty good strictness, with the diet. And I should be able to get 2 exercise sessions in during the weekend. I'll aim for the 2 exercises during the weekend, and fairly strict with the staying under 50 carbs on the weekday.
Yeah. That will have a profound effect if you can keep the carbs low. Using make salads, throw in some bacon, throw in some cheese, or whatever it is that's going to make that salad appealing to you. Just being cognizant of the amount of carbs that whatever it is you add to the salad or whatever other meals you have during that day, what that totals. If you keep that under 50 grams, then and to keep the protein high, then you're going to be on track to even accelerating what you've already achieved.
What are
which, go ahead.
What are like the safest, like easiest, like dressing that you would recommend for like salad, just to give it some kind of something that's not just completely plain Jane, where it's just dry salad, but like give me something, some sort of a flavor that might actually not be detrimental from a dressing standpoint.
You're talking to a man who only uses olive oil and apple cider vinegar together and pretty much puts that on everything. So if you're looking for something that would be consistent with what your desire is when it comes to food, then you're definitely asking the wrong guy. What I will say is this. If you look at the nutrition label, just look at the amount of carbs. If the amount of carbs is low, and then try that out. Because remember what the goal is. The goal is we want to keep carbs as low. I'm okay with you consuming fat. I don't have an issue. I'm not trying to make this the protein only diet. You'll definitely lose weight faster than you ever dreamed possible if you want to go that route. But I don't think that you're going to survive more than 24 hours on a plan like that.
So you might be right.
I feel as if the fat content is what's going to bring you over the edge as far as being able to experience satisfaction with the diet, and also having the results that you desire. Like that combination will be there as long as you choose foods that are low carb but have fat in them as well. So you're having your protein to the meal, and then you're able to add like a dressing for the salad that's very low carb, no carb, and that's higher fat. That's fine. you could just look at the nutrition label and just make sure that the carbs are low, and you're going to add whatever carbs you do consume to your daily total. So you're going to know that if you're aiming for under 50 grams, you just got to make sure to account for whatever it is you consume as part of that carb total, and then you'll be fine. By just monitoring the carbs and trying to keep your protein at around, for you, you're eating 3 times a day. So I said around 180 grams a day or so of protein. I'm trying to keep it 60 grams a meal, 50 to 60 grams a meal. And if you're eating 3 times, so you're going to be in that 150 to 180 grams per day of protein, and then add the fat from whatever sources that you enjoy. Like bacon is something you could add, like I said, just to the salad, which a lot of people enjoy to spice things up, and that's fine because that's going to be all fat. And so you're going to have a very high fat addition that you're going to enjoy. It's going to make the salad taste better. It's going to help to quell the hunger even more. So I want you to choose whatever dressing that you enjoy that's low carb. And that's really all that matters. So I want you to experiment, just go out, because you know better than anybody what it is that you gravitate towards. And those are the dressings you should experiment with. And anything that you decide to add to the diet, really all you have to do is pay attention to totaling your carbs for the day and then keeping your protein high. That's it. I don't want you to count calories. I don't want you to worry about anything regarding fat. I don't really want you to be concerned about. I want you to just keep the carbs low, because that's what's going to have the most profound impact on your results. Is when carbs are low, your body tends to open up the floodgates when it comes to fat loss. Most people are not going to be able to out eat the amount of fat their body can burn through just protein and fat. It's usually not going to happen. They're usually going to feel satisfied with an amount of food that's going to give them results in terms of weight loss, as long as the carbs are low. So that's why I want you to focus on that carbohydrate figure for the day, as many days per week as you possibly can, keeping carbs at below 50 grams for the day. That's going to have the biggest impact on the numbers that you're able to report each and every week. That, as well as your walking sessions. So those are the two factors: keeping carbs below 50 and getting as many walks in as you're able on a weekly basis. So those two things, if you can focus on that for this week, and as many days as possible with the low carbs and getting a couple of walking sessions in, I think there's no doubt that you're going to be in the 330s, and you're never going to be above 340. You're ever going to be at 340 or above again. Let's just put it that way. I think that's, it's a foregone conclusion that if you do that, we're almost there.
That's amazing.
Does that sound good? That sounds amazing to me. How about you? Yeah, I figured it did.
Sounds great.
So here we are. Do you feel good about next week?
I do.
Okay. All right. That's all I need to hear. As long as you're in a good mood and have a smile on your face. And I know that you tend to, and I knew firsthand, I knew when I saw that first week's number, and I told you there was going to be some water weight shed because of the carbs having been reduced considerably, and you got the 6.5 pounds. And looking at that number, that the rest of the numbers that you're going to report on a weekly basis, if you follow that same plan, they're going to drop from that 6.5. They're going to be lower than that because of the water weight reduction. So, and I knew that if you use that 6.5 as a standard, it's going to take some work to keep that going. So the fact that you've settled in now on what it is that you're doing, and know that you can really accelerate this if you want, by just doing those couple things that we talked about, with keeping the carbs below 50 and the walking sessions. And we'll use this next week as an experiment. And if you think that it works better for you to keep those try to really clamp down on those carbs at the end of the week on Thursday and Wednesday, leading into the weigh-in, feel free to do that. It really doesn't make a difference as long as you do as many of those days as you feel comfortable with. It's going to benefit you greatly.
I'm ready to do it.
All right, brother. All right. Well, with 1 month in, I'm impressed. 13 and a half pounds. Congratulations. Um, you're really taking, you're harnessing control of your life by deciding that you're going to follow this plan on a weekly basis. You're showing up each and every week. You're reporting your results in an open and honest way. You're being brutally honest with everything that happened. And every single week for the past 4 weeks, you've lost weight. You've lost at least 1.8 pounds, lost as much as 6.5. You've been in 13 and a half pounds for the past month, for the first 4 weeks of this plan. So I think you're doing amazingly well. I'm proud of you for making the effort that you have and for doing your part, because I have the easy part. I just tell you what to do. Like, you're the one who has to follow
You're good at
through
that.
with this each and every week, and you're doing it. And I think that everybody out there who's watching is going to get inspired, as if they haven't already been, as the weeks go on and they see that this is something that you're going to embrace long term. Because I have confidence in you. The fact that you've shown up here 4 weeks in a row, you've had results every week, you've been able to report everything that's happened to us. I think that's a huge success, and so I congratulate you, and I'm really proud of you.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate everything you're doing for me.
Oh man, it's my pleasure. It's every single time you show up and you report results, it just makes my heart happy. So thanks a lot for being you and for doing what you have to do to get this done. I love you, man.
Love
and
you too.
I can't wait till next week.
Looking forward to it.
See you then, brother.
All right. I stopped for candy bars, man. I'm a guilty candy bar eater, man.
It was a long trip. You could have eaten 3, 4, 5.
I could eat 12 of them.
So you wanted to eat 12. Is that what you're trying to tell me?
I did. I wanted to eat 12 so bad.
Yeah, I don't know why you didn't just completely bare your soul when it came to the fact that you only had 2 when you wanted 12. I mean, I think that is a bigger success than anything that we discussed on the entire episode. You're being, in one way or another, bullied to follow this diet plan consistently, because you have to show up here every single week and report the results, good, bad, or ugly. And they could have been very ugly if you would have done what you wanted to do in that gas station.